Hello everybody, Ted, Jersey and Causeway Marine. I'm on an R5 in our showroom, trying to do a little bit of a run through. As you know, we're all under this COVID issue, and we're trying to overcome it and pray and hope that everybody stays safe and healthy. We're going to break this up to probably a couple of different videos, but the R5, R3, R7 are very similar in layout, switching, dashboards, etc. So we may use this for those three models. But again, this is the R5. Now in the bow, we start out with up front, all the way in the front is your anchor locker. Your anchor will be inside here. There's a ring inside the anchor locker that the lead gets tied off to, but that's going to be where your anchor is. Of course, these areas are storage. You've got armrest that you can raise and lower. On the port side, which is the driver's side, you're going to see a storage area, which also has a flip-out cushion. That's very handy if you want to have a laying, if you want to lay out in the front as opposed to sitting. They also have a filler available if you'd like to close this section where I'm standing as an option. In addition, while we're up front here, if you have a pump out head of any type, whether it's a pump out porta potty or a fixed head, you're going to have a waist fitting. Now the waist fitting, I like to just use my finger to give that a little pop up, and then you can spin this out. Keep in mind, this fitting, unlike the fuel or any other water fitting, has no chain, as the pump mechanism has to thread into this fitting. So make sure that this does not get dropped in the water, or you'll have to replace the cap. And then securing the cap, you would just push down, and you can use your fingers to give it a twist, or you could use the key that comes in the your manual bag. While we're up in the front, I'll go over this windshield latching mechanism. That is a must when you open this windshield. If you want to drive with it open, you must latch that into position. In order to release it, you just pull the pin forward, and you can swing the window open and secure it when you close it, which we'll show you after when I'm on this side of the windshield. So again, bringing it to this position, you would want to latch it, okay, and secure it so that it doesn't move around, okay. Also, while in the bow area, we'll point out the bifold door. Very nice feature for colder days if you'd like to keep the door closed. Make sure that both those barrel bolts are completely seated, either in the open position or the closed position, so it'll stay locked in place. Okay, so right now we're in the forward port side helm area, seating area. This is a flip-up seat, so that can be raised, and has to be raised actually to open up the head compartment. You will not find the head compartment on the R3, however the R5 and R7 have a standard head compartment. This particular boat has a fixed head, as you can see. In addition, this has an optional sink feature inside the compartment. And if you poke around inside, you'll see the switching for the wash down, and there's a light and a fan in there as well. Again, that head is an optional head, as is that sink. The head is a very simple operation, and basically what happens is it draws in the raw water from the back. There's a push button inside. As you can hear, when you push that button, it circulates that water inside the head, flushes it, and puts it into the holding tank. One thing I may suggest or stress is that when you use that head, you carry a little bit of the Aquachem, the blue toilet stabilizer. You can put inside there. It'll help kind of reduce the smell for you until you get a chance to get it pumped out. Okay, so over here also got a little glove box, a couple of power ports here, standard 12-volt plug plus a USB, and that USB is tied into the stereo as well. Okay, over here on the helm side, this is where we get a little more involved. We have a tilt wheel, pretty simple. Okay, in addition, we have Switches, some of these switches may be for optional features. For example, if you look at this particular dash panel, it has captain's call on it. The boat does not have captain's call, but the switching and the wiring is in position if you desire to put those options in down the road. Okay? However, let's go over quickly the features that are here. Blower, the bilge, the interior lights. On this side, we have other optional features that aren't on the boat. For example, the underwater lights, swim platform lights. If you have them, certainly turn them on and you can use them. Otherwise, your anchor light, which is the light up on top of the, this valve now hanging there by the wire on the arch. And the navigation lights, which actually light up the red and green and the white light together. So the anchor light's an independent light, which you will use if you're anchoring at night. So, lastly, your horn, your stereo. So these stereos are, they're all pretty much, you have wireless features, Bluetooth features. They're very easy to use. What you would do is you would go into your, if you're using, like I would use an iPhone in my situation, I would go in under the Bluetooth and look for that unit, pair it, and then what I would do is I would hit my source button, and then I would go over to where it says Bluetooth, and you push the center button. So the center button on this particular radio is basically an enter button. So for example, right now FM is highlighted. If I hit FM, then I get FM. Okay, and then the other controls are pretty standard: your volume, your channel changing features, etc. Okay, very simple stereo, very easy to use. This is a remote for the actual module or brain is in a different location. Okay, so the last thing, or not the last thing, but certainly one thing I'd like to stress on this is that we've got this particular boat has a cruiser. As you may notice, this shifting design is a little different than the Volvo. If you do have a Volvo, we're going to come in later on with a Volvo shifting mechanism, but it's very similar design as they both have the lanyard, which is an emergency shut-off that should be attached to your persons, to your wrist, to your belt, whatever, in the event that if you would fall overboard, the engine would shut off. You also have a feature you cannot start them in gear, so if you attempt to turn the key, you're not going to have an in-gear situation. Okay, so back at the dashboard, again, we have two screens. We have the port screen here, which we'll use as our GPS screen, and then we'll have our starboard screen, which we normally use as our gauge screen. You can make some changes. If you want to change an individual item in the screen, you would do is hold that down and then replace the data, and there's a lot of data that's not actually active. If you replace it and nothing comes up, it's not active. You'd have to go back and replace it with something different, but that's how you get in there. The other nice feature this has, that they both have, is an info button. And if you hit the info, you could actually load up the owner's manual, and you could load up the Garmin manual, which is the the manual on this 7607, and you could actually load up the actual manual for the boat itself. Okay, so you don't have to have a manual on board. You can literally get the manual yourself right into here. One of the cool features here is I can do a search. Let's say I wanted to find out how the bilge pump worked. I could put bilge, then I would hit done, and then it searches for that word bilge, and as many times as it comes up in this document, it's going to be there, and then you would just scroll through and actually find the word bilge over and over and over again. So it's a pretty cool feature. You can also, of course, just kind of scroll through this yourself as well, or you can go, you can increase and decrease the font size, and you can, of course, if you go back to, sorry about that, you go back to the original menu, and you go into it again, you can literally go page by page if you wanted to, or you can go to the glossary or whatever you want it if you needed to, but it's a kind of handy feature if you need it. Otherwise, if you go to the back and you hit the home button, you go back in and you would go into the AV screen and hit the engine button, and we're back to the original screen we were at. Okay. While up in this area, this particular boat has a couple of features. One is their options. is the water system. So this would be powered in through here. That would be for your, in the event that you had a transom shower, that's the switch for that. And in addition, it would energize, in this case, the optional sink. In addition, you have this particular button here is for the RGB lights, another cool feature, neat option. And what that does is it allows you could literally change the colors of the lights manually. If you fixed a particular color you like, you would hit the button again once, and then it would hold that there. And in order to shut that off, you would just hold the button down for a few seconds, and then that shuts off the lights altogether. And that's in addition to the normal courtesy lights. Okay, so while pretty much back here, one other quick feature, as I was pointing out earlier, this has a Mercruiser. Volvo's very similar. They both have trim buttons right in here, so when you're using when you're getting on plane, you want to trim all the way down initially, and then as you're getting up on the plane, you trim up a little bit. It'll bring the boat up a little. The attitude of the boat will come up in the bow, and if it'll give you a little more speed, a little more RPM, a little less bow steering because you've got more, a little more boat up out of the water. That's very important as far as runnability goes. And then, of course, when you're coming back down off plane, I always recommend trimming it down. And then what that'll do is help bring the nose down a little bit. And for the next time you go back on the plane, the drive's already in the down position. Okay, a couple of other features here that we're going to go over. If you have a tower as opposed to a bimini, if you would like to release this tower or lay the tower down for some reason, you would loosen this knob up, and that stays. They both stay in. They have a little washer that holds the knobs in, and then you would pull down onto the arch, pull down towards the steering wheel, and it has a locking mechanism. So if you intend to do this, you're going to have a second person to unlock the lock when it's in the locked position. So now it's currently locked, all right? If for some reason you had a low a bridge or garage, you needed to put the boat in, that's how you would do it. I could probably get this down myself, but it's probably recommended you do it more than one person. But if you look back in here, there is a mechanism that you'd have to release or lift up as you pull forward in order for this to release. And here we go. Very, very challenging on your own, but it can be done. And then we're back to this normal position. And make sure that it's secure. You're not locking knobs, and you're good to go. Okay. Back here. I'm going to go into this compartment. Pretty important area. Mosquito bars in here, as well as a fire extinguisher, and more importantly, your battery switch. Normally, your battery is going to be in the off position when you're done. When you're done for the day, you want to put that battery in the off position and leave it there until your next time you go to use it. When you normally use the battery, you put it in the first position, which is the on, and the switch also has an emergency position, which is a little further over, and that's designed that if you have a weak battery, you can parallel both batteries together. Normally, you would leave it in this position in the run, and that allows you to start and run the engine, run all your accessories, and while those accessories are while the engine's running, your accessory battery or house battery is being charged through a voltage sensitive relay. So pretty unique feature as opposed to the old style battery switches. This actually has on and off with the capability of charging both batteries, and the house components will not drain the cranking battery in this position. Okay. In addition, you have circuit breakers in here and what they're intended for right here. Okay. So we're back in this little area here. If you look back, this is our batteries are temporarily mounted. They're not permanently mounted here. They're just here for to do a video. In the back, in this compartment, of course, is your engine, and it needs to be off while you're back in this area. Do not run the engine with the hatch open. But you want to check your oil. That's where the dipstick is on a Merc, very similar to the Volvo. It's got a yellow handle on it, and the fill, of course, is always at the top. The other couple things, that not much left on this engine that you need to refer to or need to look at, although the Merc Cruiser has a gear lube bottle here, power steering pump, or power steering reservoirs here. They're all pretty well depicted in your owner's manual. But while we're here, just point out a couple quick things. Down on the floor, or the inner part of the bilge, there is a seatcock. Right now it's open, and now it's completely closed. And the purpose of that valve is to feed the toilet if you have that option. Okay? In addition, this has the water system, and the water tank is right here inside the compartment right in front of the engine. Alrighty? Other than that, in this bilge area, there isn't a whole lot that we need to go over. These are manual. This is a manual raise and lift. Manually come down, just come down easy. You can do it with one hand. But the cylinders will hold the weight for you. On this, on the starboard side, we just have a, right now it's being used as storage, but that's an insulated cooler, and it's got a drain in the bottom as well. Okay? This particular boat has a couple of other options. Out back, it's got an inlet for your battery charger, which is a standard 110 plug. It's also got a trim and tilt for your outdrive back here. And lastly, on this side, pull-out shower, which is a great optional feature to have if you want to take a rinse. In addition, back here is your water fill, very similar to the waste fitting. You would push it and unscrew. This one has a chain, so that you can leave there until you're filled. And the same going back, you would thread it all the way down, and then give it a twist to lock it. This has this back here in the stern is a standard feature on the R Series 3, 5, and 7. So they call that a rumble seat. Nice feature. I do not recommend sitting back here while the boat's in motion. This is only designed to be used while the boat's anchored or docked. Okay? And another really cool feature that we tout a lot is the swim step. So that pin is pulled out, and you would turn the platform all the way down and use that as a swim step. That is only used when the engine is off and you're at rest or tied up. When the platform comes back up again, you have to make sure that is in the locked position before you take off again. One other cool feature that's behind Ariel here is the fender clips. All the R Series come with 4, and these are quick connected fittings that you would tie your fender on, and while you're docked or wherever if you're rafted up to somebody, you have a place to tie them. I normally recommend leaving the 4 of them tied to 4 fenders and having them marked bow and stern or whatever way you want to do it, because they might be at different lengths, and then you're good to go. Okay, a couple other quick things that I want to point out to you are the fuel fitting. Fuel fittings on the starboard side, rear. You just flip this little handle up, and you spin that off about 38, 40 degrees, and that comes right out. Again, this has a chain, but be gentle on it because it doesn't, that can fall in if you're not careful. These, same going in, twist it, and then flip that down, and you're good. While we're back here too, I'll point out these are the blower vents. So they're designed to allow fresh water into the bilge area. It also is always recommended before starting the boat for 5 minutes, and also while fueling, that you run the blower. And that is at the helm, push button at the helm. Another thing real quick, we're not going to put it all on here, but is the canvas. As you can see, there's the snaps are here. Of course, the canvas has mating snaps to that. I recommend using some kind of snap lube. It's a kind of a pasty lube that will help you take the snaps on and off because they do get stiff after a while. The other thing, of course, with the canvases, when they're in position, you're going to have a series of what I call tent poles. There's either 2, 3, 4, depending on the size of the boat, that go underneath. They go into a black little vent, and that allows it does two things. It allows you to vent, and it allows you to actually keep the canvas stiff, so in the event that you get rain, that we're not sagging the canvas. That's pretty much it for the interior, and there's not much in the exterior, so we're good.